Hey guys, it's Melissa. I got a friend who asked me earlier about wedding ring quilts. Apparently she's working on making a double wedding ring, and she's working from Eleanor Burns' book, Egg Money Quilts. The picture she sent me said she had to have her wedge put together and then she had to turn it out like a tube. And she was having a hard time because turning tubes that are this small is not necessarily easy on your hands, especially as we get older. So I told her that I would show her the two ways that I normally do this, and what follows is the breakdown of that. I've made a cajillion quilts, I've made a ton of tubes, and I figure let's check it out and see how to do it. Thank you for watching, and if you like this, subscribe to my channel, please. And here comes the information. Bye for now. Okay, so as you can see, I have my wedges already sewn together. That part I think you guys can probably do without my help. And then I am ironing and I'm making sure that all of my seams go to the darker side. Can you guys see that? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to do that to both of these. And I turned my seams as I pieced, so I wanted to make sure that that went where I wanted. And then I'm going to do something that isn't necessarily recommended, but that I think helps a lot when you're doing sewing on bias. And I'm starching it heavily, and then I'm drying all the starch with my iron. Now, here's the first way that I would do this. And I have a nylon thread here. It's Coates & Clark. Maybe it'll read that for you. I'm going to take a fairly long piece of this, and I have it taped because this thread does not like laying where it's supposed to lay. And I'm doing a long enough, excuse me. I'm doing a long enough piece of that so that it will go all the way from end to end twice. Hopefully that picks that up too. Hopefully the camera is picking it up. My hands are having a hard time grabbing the thread right here. That's why I use two pieces. So I'm going to take a clip and I'm going to put the thread, just clip the thread right to that end. And then I'm going to lay it out here so that it will be well inside the seam allowance of my wedge or my other piece. I don't want to sew through this thread. I want to sew through this thread. What I want to do with this thread is I want to use it to turn this back out. So now that I have the thread and the fabrics lined up, I'm going to put my clip back in here. You don't have to be as fussy as I am. Mine's mostly because of my hands. And then I'm going to come down here at the other end and I'm going to clip it. So that's clipped together. And I'm going to go and I'm going to sew all the way along this edge, down here, and back up. I'm going to leave this end open. So let me do that, and I'll be right back with you. Sew over the thread. And you can see that there is a lot of excess fabric there. I'm going to go around here real quick and cut that excess fabric because it's going to cause me issues when I try to turn. I'm going to do that on both sides. You want to leave a 1/4 of an inch or so. I think the wedge for this wedding ring is entirely too big, but you know, I didn't write this pattern. I'm just trying to help a friend with it. All right, so now what you're gonna do, it didn't, oh man. Now that you've got it sewn up, since my thread came out on me, I'm going to give myself a little opening. I'm going to use my thumb. A blunt object, I'm using an ink pen. And you're going to start, let's see if it's, so you're going to take a blunt object, I'm using an ink pen. And you're going to put it down in there. And you're going to start turning your little tube. Takes a second to get started. But once you get it started, it will go pretty easily. And all I'm doing is just pulling it up here. I don't know how to hold the camera in my mouth to make this easier to see. But there's your end that you started with. There is your wedge. Now you may want to go down here to the far end and turn out your little edges a bit so that when you iron, everything is flat. Now your corners come up. But that is number one. Let's give it a quick iron. And you can fiddle with it as much as you want until you get your white edges hidden, etc. The easier way to do this, in my opinion, is here. I'm going to use a couple of pins just to make sure that my interfacing template or interfacing stays where it's supposed to. And I'm actually using muslin, so it's not interfacing. I'm going to sew all the way around all 4 sides, and then I'll show you how to turn this much easier. So I've sewn around it. Once again, I'm going to trim the excess fabric. Once again, I'm going to say that their wedge is way too big. The wedge is this part. Because this is a lot of fabric to waste, in my opinion. Alright, and I am going to trim at the corners here. They're supposed to be rounded, but I don't think they're supposed to be that rounded. Alright, and then what you do here is you're going to separate the 2 pieces. And I just want to grab a thread of that muslin so I can lift it up. And I don't want to go through the fabric part. So you're just going to cut a slit in your muslin. You can make it as long as you want. You don't have to go the whole length. But my idea is to make this as easy as possible. So slit your muslin. And then do this. Turn everything out. If you need to, and it looks like I do here, you can go out to those edges. And you're going to turn everything over to your sewing line. You're about to sew this down to a block, right? And you're going to sew all the way around it anyway. So it does not matter if this muslin or the fusible is cut. And I personally think that doing this is a whole lot less work than turning a tube out. I can use my iron to help me turn this. So there's one, and I can work a little more with that until that white is all the way down. But you'd have the same issue here. I think this way is much easier than this way and gives me a better shape. So thank you for watching, and